So somehow it seems yet again that Netflix is going after children. I thought we already went through this with the cuties thing and then the weird sexualization of the girls in that movie, but or show or whatever it was, I don't remember at this point. Um but apparently Netflix is doing it again, but this time it's worse. So, let's get into it. As always, like, subscribe, comment, go support the original creator, all that good stuff.
Viral because people are posting clips of what they're finding in their kids' programming. And it's transgenderism, non binary identities, they them pronouns, gay kisses, and the like. Now they're
That that'll do it. That will do it. I actually saw something that hold on, we'll come back to this, but I want to show you guys something real quick. Um Probably some of the worst timing I've ever seen is this show, if you're a Magic the Gathering fan, called Game Nights, right? And very recently, hold on, I'll show you here. Let's see, where's it at? They had an episode with two drag people, right? People, persons, he, she's, I don't know what the fuck they are, okay? Um, you can't see the dislikes on it. 16K up likes, 400K views. Let's go again here. What was the let me see if I can find it real quick, just so you guys understand. Where's the Final Fantasy Game Nights? Right here. And 743K views. Now fucking tell me. Okay, if you look over here on the side where I'm at, I'll move up a little bit right here. 783K views from 5 months ago. Probably the worst mistake the Command Zone has ever made. Y'all gotta read the room, right? Gotta read the room. That was probably two of the worst guests you could have had on. We are on a crazy swing in the anti anything transgender esque. Um and it's just it's fucked up, man. It's fucked up.
canceling their Netflix subscriptions. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, you better.
Hey,
Yeah, you better.
this intro's hard,
Just
bro.
before we get into today's video, please like and subscribe. Today we're going to be talking about Netflix.
True.
And Netflix, we've been on you for quite some time. Okay, we knew this day was coming, but the day is here because people are posting clips of what they're finding in Netflix's kids programming. And as I said before, it's they them pronouns and non-binary this and trans that. And I'm going to show you the clips today. These are absolutely insane. Let's get straight into it here.
So you're always going to be in the wrong the minute you bring kids into the argument. Um Now I'm trying to find like exceptions to this. I mean, like unfounded empathy could be an exception, like empathy that essentially doesn't exist. Um, so for example, this would be like, say ICE arrests some migrants and take them away from their kids, and they also pick up the kids and they send them all home, right? That has kids involved, but at the end of the day, um, it's not against the kids at all. It's against the parents and their terrible fucking decisions to come here illegally and drag their kids along with them, right? So there's a sort of like false empathy there versus this where there should be actual empathy to these kids that are being indoctrinated, taken advantage of, essentially filled with terrible ideals immediately that are going to isolate them from society. It is going to lead them down a path of emotional, mental, and physical distress. And it is going to eventually, if they don't kill themselves, are going to be writing a book about their transgender surgery and how they have post surgery regret and this and that and the other thing, sex change regret, whatever the fuck it's called. Uh, that's their life. That's the life they have ahead of them. And that's if they don't die or wind up in the hospital with some debilitating disorder or disease, right? So that's, that's fucked up. Like that's like getting spawn camped. Like you're getting spawn camped and you're essentially being written off at the beginning of your life. And that's so fucked up.
Now, this was posted by Benny Johnson. He compiled a bunch of these. Let's watch.
How about you break out those moves?
For your two biggest fans.
I know I'm safe when I'm with.
Okay. So the first one is just like it's whatever, right? I didn't see anything bad with that, but I'm sure this is only going to get worse.
My friends or other non-binary people.
Non-binary?
People who aren't female or male. Oh, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have assumed.
Bruh.
Nightshades pronouns are they, them.
He or she just doesn't fit who I am.
My apologies. Please switch therapies.
I'm trans.
Optimus Prime? You know, I'm going to be an optimist and I'm going to try to be positive and at least say at least they didn't make the semi rainbow. That's all I got.
Norma, and everyone at school knows, and everyone at home knows, and being here, it's like a whole new place.
It's Cherry Chip reporting from the wedding of the year. Everyone's favorite karate instructor, Sensei Dave, will be marrying mixed martial arts champion Jiu-Jitsu Joe.
He's the undisputed champion of my heart.
I don't even think it's that bad. Like that one, the one before with Optimus, I mean, that's just ridiculous. That's like some fucking Dragon Age Veilguard level ridiculous.
Okay, friend? Well, the last time I saw my grandma, I used a different name and pronoun.
Guys.
So, okay. I'm not gonna be totally negative here, all right? I mean, the gay stuff is whatever. Like, if you want to have gay stuff in your freaking shit, it's whatever. Um, an example of this is Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones had so many gay scenes in it, but that shit's fire. So I watched all the way through it anyway, right? Did it suck to have to sit through the gay scenes? Sure, but I just pull up Instagram or fucking pull up Twitter and I just fucking look at some freaking, boobs or something for a little bit and then once the gay scene's done, get back into the show, right? It's like an ad break, Um but I got nothing against it, everybody has their cup of tea, right? But there's a point where it's like a cup of tea of kind of like this is kind of like my thing, like it's not like a sexuality thing. It's more of like it's a kink, it's I just like it, respectable, respectable. But the part where you lose me when it comes to anything that is LGB past that, you lost me. You lost me. All right, because the T especially you lose me because it's like what the are we talking about now? Like we gave you everything you ever wanted. and you still want more? You're coming for everyone's kids? That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. It's one of those things where, like, once you give them the mile, you gotta fucking take it 50 miles back. Like, like, no, 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 no. Like, we gave you an inch, you took a fucking mile, and now we're tearing this bitch up for the back fucking 50 miles. Like, you're done. Like, you're done. Is essentially what's happening. We're having a massive course correction. Um, and the sad part is, like, I don't know if I've said this before in a video, but I literally have a bisexual friend, right? Who was a former roommate of mine that I also like constantly bullied him for being gay because he claims he's bisexual, but I bully him and tell him that he's gay because the only thing he ever talks about is dick. He doesn't talk about boobs or pussy or anything like that ever. Ever. Well, he does. That's a lie. He does. Um mostly like when he's looking at anime characters, but like real life women, like he's gotten with some girls before, but your buddy tends to swing for the hog, if you know what I'm saying.
I mean, there you have it. I actually have more clips for you.
But yeah, anyway, I got completely off topic. Well, sort of. Essentially, he hates all of this LGBTQ plus premium Ubisoft package bullshit. All right, they hate it. He hates it. It drives him fucking nuts because he feels like he can't go out and just be himself and be bisexual because everybody just auto assumes he's part of that community and he's that type of person, and now he's actually being judged. And somehow, even though he's black, he's not being judged by the color of his skin, but literally by the false content of his character that doesn't even fucking exist. How the fuck does that happen? Like, and everything was fine. Everything was fine when we were roommates and shit. Everything was cool. Everything was peachy out in the world. Nobody gave a fuck if you swung for the hog, right? Nobody cared if you only preferred chicks and you were a chick, right? Nobody cared. Nobody cared. You weren't celebrated and you weren't talked down to. You were just like everyone else. And it wasn't until the transgender stuff got involved and the virtue signaling started happening. And then instead of having a normal life, you wanted to assert your life into everyone else's when the pushback started happening and the war begun. And obviously, everybody chose their side. But as with all things, once the veil disappears and you are no longer safe in your blue sky community, you tend to be ran out of town. And that is because majority of people do not agree with this type of messaging. And the crazy part is you did it to yourself. That's the crazy part. So if you want to take some accountability, look in a fucking mirror. You did it to yourself. If you had just stayed in your lane, just did your own thing in your own private life, and you didn't try to shove it down everybody's throat, again, nobody would have cared. You would have been just like everyone else. And it'd be like, oh, look at that thing over there. But, so it goes.
We're going to get to them in just a moment. But what other reason would there be for putting this in kids' content other than to indoctrinate them into transgender ideology, gender identity, the whole LGBTQ club that exists now? There's no other reason to be showing this to kids. And they will sell this to you under the guise of being inclusive or adding diversity or being equitable towards everybody and all identities. But what this really means is that we are showing concepts, ideas that kids are not ready for at an age in which they should never be hearing about this stuff. And
I agree. This is something that I do believe should be taught at some point, but it shouldn't be right away at all. Like, here's the deal. And I might get flames for this, but if you're a vegan, you should not force your child to be vegan. It deprives them of essential nutrients that they need to grow and prosper to the absolute peak degree that they can, right? If you're not a vaccine person, you still need to vaccine your fucking kids. It is absolutely imperative that you vaccine your fucking kids. Kids are some of the dirtiest fucking things on the planet. You need to have them vaccinated. No ifs, ands, buts about it. Get them their fucking shots, right? And yeah, it fucking sucks. You hate to fucking do it, right? And you may not be vaxxed and you may not believe in it, but you should not force your worldview on your child to the point where it puts their health at risk, right? Same thing with this transgender bullshit. It puts their mental, physical, emotional health all at risk at the same fucking time because you ruin their life from the jump. Because only a small, like 2-3% at the most of society is going to accept your child. That's it. Everybody else is going to look down on them, is going to treat them lesser, which I agree with. I agree with. I have no problem with that at all, right? And I'm not saying that all trans people are bad, but they had their chance to set up a good place in society where they could just be themselves and everybody would have still gotten along. But they ruined it. They ruined it. They got in close with all these weirdo fucking virtue signaling Reddit mods, and that's it. They got gaslit into thinking the world needed to be just like them. And that's why they're getting stamped out left and right. You see it every day. Transgender removed from this school. Transgender removed from such and such a textbook or university or whatever, right? Like every single day another trans something gets removed from society because people are fucking sick of it. They're tired of playing along with the delusion, right? Listen, if you think that you're the opposite gender that you are and you were at birth, hey, you know what? Listen, there's kids out there that need number 2 pencils, right? And these pencils, they're not too difficult to make. I think if we just line up an entire camp of you and just have you work on number 2 pencils, I think we will have the world's largest amount of like domestically produced number 2 pencils. I'm just saying.
They'll file it into their kids' programming so that when you put your little kid on the couch and you turn on Netflix or you give them the remote and say, which one do you want to watch? And they click Transformers or Strawberry Shortcake or something like that. This is what they're actually getting. You think you're going to sit down your kid and have them watch something about, I don't know, Jurassic Park or some robots or show them how to bake a cake. And suddenly they're being told about they, them pronouns or watching 2 men get married. And guess what? That's fine if you want your kids to be watching that content, but a lot of people don't. And they're thinking they can just freely sit their kids in front of the TV and have them watch some Netflix because Netflix says that this is age appropriate for, I don't know, kids 7 and below or kids 4 and below. And then this is what your kids are actually watching. For me, this would not be appropriate programming. And again, we've been talking about this for quite some time because these stories pop up intermittently as a new program hops on Netflix. Parents start watching it with their kids and all of a sudden they're going, why the hell are we talking about they, them pronouns? And why are we talking about gender surgeries and hormone therapy and how we refer to people and how we misgender others? And why are we having a conversation about sexuality? This is how the story goes. Now I'm going to show you another clip. This is from the Babysitters Club. You've all heard of the Babysitters Club, right? Well, this one happens in a medical setting, and we're going to watch a kid correct 2 medical practitioners on gender. Let's watch.
Bailey is not a boy.
And by treating her like one, you are completely ignoring who she is. You're making her feel insignificant and humiliated. And that's not going to help her feel good or safe or calm. So, from here on out, please recognize her for who she is. And if at all possible, could you find me a non-blue hospital gown?
Jesus fucking Christ. Listen, if you're a doctor and you're going along with this delusion, it should be automatic loss of your practicing license, and you should also be removed from society. I think you need to do, I'd say, 5 years of prison labor. 5 years prison labor. And I don't mean like a dangerous criminals, like murderers, like prison, like that's like top security, high security type shit. I'm talking like, we're talking people who have committed felonies, but not like, so maybe we allow people who did like one murder. Like one murder, I think that's okay. I think we take all these people and we put them into a specific prison in the middle of like a desert or something. So if they try to run away, they literally starve to death and they can't fucking survive anyway, right? We set up a production facility inside this prison and we have them produce number 2 pencils. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Now, I've seen other YouTubers put out like percentages of people that they would like to see get removed from society. I don't know if I'm going based off a percentage, right? Like, I don't know. Because like that percentage, like it includes stupid people, but you need the stupid people because the stupid people are usually the ones that give up, the ones that have a bit like higher intellect, right? So like if you have a criminal, right? And let's say he's committed 5 crimes and he's got a couple guys, you know, his crew, if you will. There's usually like there's like the paranoid, like play it safe guy. There's like the leader, the thinker, right? He's the one who's got a slightly higher intelligence than the other two, and he's a bit harder to catch, right? And then you have the dumbass. You have the dumbass. He's only good for shooting the guy behind the register and pulling the money out of the drawer and running out, right? If you get into a scuffle with the cops, he's the one who shoots first, right? He's the fodder guy. And he's dumb as a fucking bag of soap, right? That is the guy who always gives up his friends. Always. Because when he gets to that police station and they start playing that good cop bad cop, he folds instantly. And he's like, "Oh yeah, his name was Terrence Lewis." And his name was Chad Lorick, right? He immediately gives them up. And it's always something stupid. It's always like, "Hey, we'll give you $500 in a ride home out of here." So that's why you need the stupid people. The stupid people are the reason that the smart ones get caught because they are too fucking stupid to realize that they fucked up.
And if at all possible, could you find me a non-blue hospital gown? Because we all know with kids identifying as trans, it really honestly is as simple as that most of the time. These kids are liking things that are apparently associated with a certain gender, and you'll see a boy who likes pink or likes dresses or likes Barbie dolls, and all of a sudden we're calling the boy a girl. And this is what you're watching in Netflix kids programming. This is the Babysitter's Club, apparently, on Netflix. Mind you, this is in a medical setting where it's really important that we know the actual sex of an individual. And we have a kid who is speaking up to 2 adults, okay? 2 people practicing medicine and telling them how to do their jobs and how to refer to somebody. And by the way, can we get him something that's not blue? Because he's a she. I've had this issue with kids programming for quite some time. It's really shifted from like the times of Mr. Rogers, where we're trying to teach kids values and,
True.
you know, serenity and calm and slowness and how to speak to people and how to talk about very deep issues, but on a very childlike level, to kids now just trying to tell adults all the time who they are at any given moment and trying to assert their independence over a world that cares about binary sex and, you know, wanting people to be heterosexual, I guess. It's completely changed and shifted into something that is not, in fact, a reflection of reality whatsoever. And it's just teaching little kids that not only should you like assert yourself onto the reality that you're living in, but you should also assert yourself onto adults and change your pronouns and make yourself unique and try a different sexuality. And while kids are going to be exposed to this stuff living out in the real world, and we can have real
Right.
discussions about kids programming, doing that in a way that is safe, in a way that's educational, in a way that actually helps kids, this is not the way to do it. And
So my thought process was that with this was in high school we had to take sex ed. It was like a 1 semester course. It was very quick. It just like going over pretty much all the basics. And like to scare the girls from having kids, they did like a live birth, literal live birth, and it to be honest, it didn't scare any of them, but um at least not the ones at my school. Um So in that semester, there could be a very, very small section, like a 1% section of like, yeah, these people are a thing. They exist. You're gonna run into them at some point. They're just a bit off, you know. They're just a bit weird. They're kind of weird. So just understand that. And okay, let's move on. And that's how that's gonna go. All right, they exist. We acknowledge they exist. Okay, cool. All right, on to the shit that really matters, right?
clearly, we have a bunch of adults who are sitting in Netflix, probably many of whom identify on some sort of scale of the LGBTQ plus community, maybe who are trans or who are non-binary, and they're thinking to themselves, I wish I had this in childhood, and I wish somebody told me this in childhood. So now I'm going to say it to every single kid who watches this program on Netflix, which, mind you, this is millions of children all over the world, not just in the US, are watching Netflix. Now, here's another clip. This is from Strawberry Shortcake, and we all remember Strawberry Shortcake. I loved me some Strawberry Shortcake, okay? This old school sort of animation, the little voices, the cutesy colors, and everything going on there. Now, here's a clip that is going to be compared to the new Strawberry Shortcake. You tell me if you can spot the difference. Yeah, so here we have Strawberry Shortcake up top, and I don't know what we have going on at the bottom. Another
Doesn't even look like the same character.
boy in a dress, which again, it's fine. You know, boys sometimes like to wear dresses, and that's cool, okay? And if I have a kid at some point and he's a boy and he wants to throw on a dress and pretend to be a prince,
Bro, it's like I wasn't even watching the same show. Oh, fuck? To be fair, I've never seen a Strawberry Shortcake a day in my life. However, the Strawberry Shortcake Little Debbie's, oh, what a blessing, dude. I would smash. If I ever got sent like a box of like how many do I think I could eat? I could probably do 6 boxes. No. You know what? I'll do 10. I bet you I can do 10 boxes and still not be sick of them. Easy. Easy. Hey, let me find out that we get popular enough to have a fucking PO box and somebody sends me 10 fucking boxes of them Lil Debbie strawberry shortcakes. I'll fucking smash the whole thing right there live. I'll fucking live stream it. I don't give a shit, dude. It'd be so good. I love those things.
or whatever, we can have a conversation about doing that. But my goodness, do I want to watch shows on Netflix where the boys are just doing that flippantly and then they're changing their identity and calling themselves they thems? No, sorry. I don't want that. I really don't want that. Everything's all fine and in fun and play. It's a whole different thing when we're talking about identity structures and who we are as people and how we refer to one another and changing our names and giving ourselves new pronouns. Then you start to piss me off. Here's another clip. This one is from Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous. That's a mouthful.
boy.
Okay, let's watch.
The truth is, Sammy, I'm falling for you.
Lord have mercy.
I didn't know we were gonna have commentary on this one.
Hard. Real hard.
Jurassic World, you know? Jurassic World. Since when did this happen in Jurassic World?
Why did
Jurassic World. Since
why did she moan like that?
Jurassic World, you know? Jurassic World. Since
Who moans like that? Ugh. Oh God. Bro. Nope.
when did this happen in Jurassic World? I thought it was about dinosaurs. Dinosaurs, guys.
Yeah, a literal show about the scientific existence of dinosaurs. And they're talking about this?
Oh my gosh. Look at this. Look at this. Jurassic World, guys.
You tell me that's who you fell for? Bro. She looks like she ate her. She's like double her size. What the fuck?
I love the narration in the background because I know that's how many of us are responding. Like, what the heck is going on? I thought this was about dinosaurs. It's about dinosaurs and gay love. At the same time, you know what, guys? We've seen this happen. You know, we've spoken about Netflix specifically. We've spoken about Disney and what they did in movies like Lightyear and Strange World and what they were doing with the whole, I think, Lucas movie.
I mean, Marvel did the same thing. I mean, I think the first like insert of like if you wanted to classify it as woke stuff, it would be Avengers Endgame. And I literally think that that started the end game for Marvel because they got away with it in that movie because it was like, ah, haha, yeah, fucking, yeah, women's empowerment. Yeah, those few scenes, right? And for the most part, I mean, there was a backlash for it at the time, but it got glazed over very quickly because the movie was fucking stellar, right? And like, yeah, you had a couple one-off moments, and you were just like, ha ha, funny guys. um, but for the most part, everybody was cool with it because the movie fucking slapped. The problem is, they got away with it, and then they took that, and they thought, oh, well, we'll just do it again, and we'll add in more. They like this stuff. No, no, those couple of minutes of the movie we hated. But the rest of the movie was good enough that we could overlook it. The problem is now we can't overlook it because it is the entire fucking movie.
And all this different stuff. It's layers upon layers of this sort of indoctrination infiltrating children's entertainment. We saw as Snoop Dogg, I think, took his grandson to go watch Lightyear, and he's like, well, why are the two women kissing and why did they have a baby? How did that happen? And some people are ready for that conversation and some people aren't ready for that conversation. Some people want their children to be exposed to that at a later date and they want to hold off on that. Some people just want to put their kid in front of the TV and have them watch a little movie or a show about dinosaurs. And they don't want two straight people kissing. They don't want two gay people kissing. They don't want two lesbians kissing.
Yeah, that is weird. That is really weird behavior. There should just be no sexualization at all in any sort of minor specific related content. YouTube Kids, there should be absolutely no sexualization in YouTube Kids. Is there? Unfortunately, yes. There's a lot. There's a shit ton, and it gets millions of views, and it's so fucking sad. But as far as like, any sort of movies, TV shows that are popular in culture, obviously no. There shouldn't be like I'm not gonna sit my kid down at like age freaking 3 or 4 and have him watch Game of Thrones all the way through because there's a lot of fucking going on in that fucking. There's a lot going on in Game of Thrones. It's just not something I would do. Um, but later on, I don't know. Let's see. I don't know, probably well, at what age would I be okay with it? Probably like 15. Probably 15. I would want them to know this because like a year or two down the road, they're going to have sex ed anyway, if they hadn't already. Because like some schools, they do it in middle school, which I think is fucking weird anyway. But I think it's a high school thing. It should just be in high school because it's like the last couple years before you're truly out on your own and you're either off in trade school, college, community college, whatever it is, university, right? So when you're doing that stuff, you got to know, you know, everything that you need to be aware of to practice things safely. Um, yeah, I think that's about all I can really say about it for the most part. It's just one of those things that, yeah, you just really don't want to see it. And there's plenty of movies out there still nowadays. And what made Disney movies good back in the day was they were still willing to put adult humor in the movie, but it was masked so that the kids couldn't pick up on it, but the adults understood it, right? And that's why those movies were good because they were tailored for both kids and adults, and they were actually compelling movies. And people like to say that like Disney kills things with like sequels and stuff, which in some cases they can, right? Um, but it's typically because they don't put the same amount of creative vision into the movie because there are plenty of movies out there that can have sequels and still get better when generally speaking a lot of the Hollywood rule of thumb was you just try not to make sequels because typically the sequel does worse than the original, right? But yeah, so an example of this would be Sonic. The Sonic trilogy continues to get better. It continues to be better every single movie. It is more impressive. It's I don't know. I just don't think they have the vision, right? I just don't think they do. And I still think that people are open to a new Disney movie. People are open to a new um perspective on things, right? But you got to deliver on that vision and you got to just fucking stop with the bullshit. You just got to stop with the bullshit. Go back to what you know how to do, right? Because there were movies that were amazing that had both adult humor and like funny, ha stupid humor for kids, right? One of those movies would be like Shrek. Shrek, although it had a bit of like kissing in it, whatever, right? Um, it's one of those movies that hit it very well because nobody in their freaking right mind is no kid in their right mind is going to think kissing an ogre as a princess is a good idea. Most of the time, the kid reaction to that was ew. So, it got masked pretty well, I would say. And it's just an overall good movie. It's entertaining to watch, for an adult and for a kid. Another one would be like Kung Fu Panda. Kung Fu Panda is another one that's like it's got some adult elements to it, but they're not blatantly obvious. So, well, not at least for kids. Um, oh, Finding Nemo. I didn't even think about that. Finding Nemo is another one that's like, holy shit. Like, there's like straight up animal abuse in that freaking movie. But kids don't know. Kids have no idea that what is going on is pure animal abuse, right? And, that's something that they don't pick up on, but adults do. So it's like compelling for adults because like now you starting to give a shit because this fucking fish is just getting the shit beat out of it. And the kid, they think it's funny because the fish is just making funny faces and blah blah blah, and that's all they think about. Whereas like you're just like, oh my god, this little girl is trying to murder this fish.
They don't want people talking about non-binary identities. They don't want people talking about sexual identities and pronouns. And mind you, I
Yep.
put in a straight couple in there too, because I'm gonna want to put my kid down in front of the TV, and how about we watch nobody kissing? How about you're a child? How about that's not for you right now, and we don't need that right now. How about that? Here's another one. This is from the Monster High movie.
I'm Frankie. Pronouns they, them. I'm only 15 days old.
Hi.
Is this live action Avowed?
Hi. Claudine. And that's hilarious. She goes, I'm only 15 days old, which is essentially what you're asking of these kids. So you're going to put like a 2-year-old. Okay, how many days old? And they, them pronouns. Nice to meet you. And a kid's going to go, oh my gosh, what's they, them? That's really strange. And that's really interesting. And this specific character just had a whole unique discussion about finding out who they are and how they're different and how they want a new identity. And I feel like that's.
So this is completely off topic, but how in the hell did she get 3? She's got like an upside down Adidas symbol. Like, I can't do that. I can't do that. I just get like angry like bumps. But she's got like 3 lines. They like all connect. They look sick, dude. Sorry, completely off topic. I kept noticing that. I just had to point it out.
Sometimes because I'm a literal child who's literally learning my place in the world at every given moment, at every single micro expression and movement and sound and word that I hear. And this person just got their whole special episode about being a they, them special non-binary person. I'd love to be a they, them special non-binary person. Just like when you watch Cinderella, you want to be the princess that gets swept off her feet, and has the shoe that fits. Or when you watch Rapunzel, you want the long hair. Or, you watch Tangled and they want to be the horse. You never know what a kid's going to want, okay? So you have to really get a handle on what you expose them to, because every single experience that they have opens up a new pathway, something else to discuss, something else for them to be attached to. And whether that's a negative or positive attachment is really up to the way they're exposed to it and how they interpret it. So you really need to know what your kids are watching. And if this is what you want them to be watching, guess what? It's available on Netflix, whether you knew it or not. Okay? And this is just the tip of the iceberg, right? We have all the different diversity stuff that's taking place at Netflix. We have the whole Cuties program, which was like a movie sexualizing children that ended up on Netflix, and there was a
This is what I was talking about at the beginning of the video. Yuck.
Huge firestorm about. I'll show you. This is like an image. Speaking of diversity, the whole Witcher series or whatever that's being put on Netflix. Here's the casting. Just look at the.
An absolute fall off, dude. And it'd be one thing, right? It'd be one thing if they were good actors. But they're not even delivering the acting. Right? Like I could completely ignore the fact that they are not even close to what the original is, right? I can ignore that. But I can't ignore the fact that their acting is so fucking poor that I could have a better experience watching a non-commentary playthrough of The Witcher 3. And that's a fact.
The diversity, equity, and inclusion on that. And we've spoken about Netflix doing this at length. They speak about this being a huge core part of how they work as an organization. In fact, they've created all these little charts for us to take a look at how much diversity, equity, and inclusion they have forced into their programming over the years with creators, producers, writers, directors.
So, remember what I said about taking 50 miles, Like, we gave them an inch, they took a mile, so now we got to take it 50 miles back. This is what I'm talking about. This is the 50-mile mark right here. 2018. 9.8%. 9.8%. That's a healthy dose. Healthy dose, right? Micro dose. Now we're getting fucking crazy. This is stupid. We need to just dial it back just a little bit. Just a little bit. There we go. There we go. Yeah, right there. Right there. Like a lot of people want it all the way down here. They want it at 0. I'm being nice. I'm giving you the 8%. But I swear to God, if you try to take a mile again, I will put it in the negative percentile.
Everything moving up from like 15% of underrepresented communities, which means like LGBTQ people, women, disabled people, black people, or people of marginalized identities, moving up from 15% to nearly.
So, okay. So if they are including all of that, what percentage do you guys think? Put it in the comments. What percentage do you guys think are representative of trans people? If I had to guess, out of the what's it at right now? Let's see. As of 2023, underrepresented. Okay. Let's go back to the other one real quick. This one. So as of 2023, they're at 27%. So they're probably more than that now. So let's estimate 30% total. If they're at a 30% total, I think you probably 1% of that 30% is representative of trans people. I think the majority of the percentage of inclusion is probably black people. It's probably Hispanics, Asians, different races other than white people, obviously. And then women. That's it. I think I think that's the major two that they're pushing. Because the trans stuff is like so like it's like a lot of people like they don't care about the race stuff. They don't really care about the freaking the women's empowerment bullshit, right? Most of the time nowadays, at least, it gets laughed off. I mean, if a couple of years ago, you could make an argument, right? But I think nowadays, in the good old 2025, I think as far as for those two goes, nobody gives a shit anymore. Um, in the trans stuff, people do give a shit, but it's in the opposite direction. Like they want it gone. They don't want it to exist. Which I do think it is fair for it to exist. I just don't think it should be pushed as if it were normal in a modern civilized society.
Disabled people, black people, or people
Oh,
of
and disabled
marginalized
people.
identities, moving up from 15% to nearly 30%. So just over the years, they are doubling up on pushing all of this stuff as much as they possibly can within the corporate.
You know what I don't get? I don't get why these corporations and stuff don't tailor their business strategy around politics. Like, why aren't they doing like an Apple, like Facebook thing right now? Because like Apple and Facebook were heavily compliant with the blue side of politics while they were in power. When Trump got in power, they figured out Trump's politics and they got cozy up to Trump immediately so that they could, get essentially a slap on the wrist when Trump was starting to come down on everybody for doing this fucking blue radical nonsense.
So much so that they'll even create a little graph and chart for you and hand it to you. This is happening at Netflix, it's happening at Disney, it's happening at all your like major, TV and entertainment programming organizations, companies. It's happening at the Oscars and the Academy. This is what they want for your future. And when you're pushing diversity, equity, and inclusion behind the scenes with your creators, producers, directors, yada, yada, that's going to infiltrate the storylines as well. These people come in with a very distinct agenda to apply these things to the creations that they're making, and especially for children. And when I tell you that you often find this in children's programming more than anywhere else, it's because these people often have issues with their own childhood. They feel as though they had something stolen from them in childhood, that they didn't get to realize their identity fast enough, that they should have been exposed to it sooner. And the most malleable among us, the most vulnerable among us, are our children. And this is what these people feel like they've had stolen from them. So they're going to go to these children and, to the best of their abilities, try to reinforce the agenda that they've realized in their adulthood with these children.
Well, another thing that I'm going to add to this is they think that they're the hero of their own story. When really, like, the last time they were the hero was when they were a childhood and they made it out of the situation that they were in. That was the last time they were a hero. But they lived long enough as the hero to eventually become the villain, right? And another example, a perfect example of this would be the cycle of bullying, right? So in kindergarten, and this is personal, this is personal piece of me to you. Actually, you know what? We're going to turn on the personal cam, okay? When I was a kid in kindergarten, right? I had a good friend that lived next door. We used to walk back and forth to school every day, right? And fourth, I think it was fourth grade. Yeah, I want to say it was fourth grade. You see, third or fourth grade, there were three kids that would constantly pick on us on our way home every single day, right? And this is still before they implemented like strict like anti-bullying procedures. They didn't have any of that shit when I was in kindergarten, right? And so I'm going through this, right? And my friend's going through this, and one day, we just kind of had enough, right? And I kind of had my quote unquote heroes moment, right? So we're walking home, just us two. Normally, like we had like my friend's like older brother, he was always there to like protect us, and this just happened to be a day where he was not around, and he wouldn't have been there to kind of fucking tell him to fuck off and leave us alone, right? So obviously, being opportunistic, they took advantage of that. The three of them showed up behind us. We just ignored them. We didn't want to start any shit. We didn't live that far from the school, so we just kept walking. One of them decided to full blown smash my friend in the back, and he slid like three fucking sidewalk squares, like big sidewalk squares worth of distance. His fucking arms were cut up, his fucking legs were cut up, right? And I fucking lost it. I saw red. And I ended up getting in trouble legally for this. And granted, they basically just let me off with a slap on the wrist because at the end of the day, it was their fuck up. They should have stepped in and stopped it, and they didn't before it got to this point. So it ended up being like a stern talking to is essentially all I got out of it. But so yeah, my friend gets absolutely obliterated. I mean, just fucking knocked to the ground, just slid across the freaking asphalt or the concrete sidewalk, and I just snap. I just snap, and so I throw my backpack down. I run over to the there's like this rock bed, and I grab a rock, and the other bully, he runs in front of me to the other side of the rock bed, and he also grabs a rock. But the difference is he chucked his rock and he missed. I didn't. My rock put a fucking hole in his skull. I threw it at absolute full strength. Every amount of rage that I had in me, I put into that rock, and I chucked it straight at his fucking face. If he didn't put his head down, it probably would have caught him in the eye or would have caught him in the fucking nose or something, right? So that fucking smashed a fucking hole into his skull. And then I ran back over to my backpack because at this point, the other bully stepped in. Like there is a 2v1 situation, right? So I ran back over to my backpack and I grabbed a pair of scissors that I had in there. And I pulled those scissors out and I was ready to stab either one of them if they would have came close enough, right? So, knowing that they weren't coming closer and it made them hesitate, I went to them and they took off running, right? In the scuffle, the kid that pushed my friend down that I chucked the rock at dropped his wallet. I took it and I took the money out of it and I took the fucking wallet home with me. It's like a fucking Spider Man wallet or something. I can't remember exactly, but I'm pretty sure it was like a Spider Man wallet. So, and I took it home with me. And not that long later, of course, the parents of the kid that I chucked the rock at were all upset and they called the school and it became a whole thing. Cops got involved and my dad was called up. I was called up. So we had this sort of like meeting, like stern talking to, like, you can't be doing this and blah, 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 blah. And, some unhealthy words were exchanged between my father and the principal because the principal was essentially just casting the fucking blame on me, and my dad was not having that shit. So eventually, I mean, the bullying did stop. I mean, they after that, they absolutely like did not come anywhere fucking near me, right? And for good reason. And they finally left us alone. Fast forward to middle school. Middle school is probably the beginning of my villain arc, right? Middle school was like the testing grounds, right? It was like the bullying resurgence, right? And it started with me getting bullied again. Different people, different school, different situations, right? And I got into several fights at this point, and I took my anger, my frustrations out on another kid at school, and I would pick on him. I would be fucking very not abusive, but I would be like I never like physically touched him, but I was definitely like verbally abusive. So like physically abusive I wasn't, but verbally abusive for sure. I definitely fucking said a lot of fucking nasty shit. And I was never one of those kids that was like would start a physical altercation because I was fucking fighting all the time. So it was like I never like escalated to that point typically, unless like you really fucking set me off, right? But yeah, I would be physically or I would be verbally fucking mean to this kid. And it wasn't anything that the kid did. I was just fucking mad. I was an angry, pissed off fucking middle school kid, right? And I didn't know how to emotionally regulate, so I was just popping the fuck off. And that was my essentially my villain arc, right? And then eventually in high school, um there was some bullying, but like not a lot. And it was more so of like because like in high school, I think I was probably the most shut down. Like I isolated myself a lot in high school. I was just because I had too many altercations in middle school, so I pretty much wrote off people in general. And in elementary school, nobody did anything until I had to step up and do it myself, right? And I had like protected like other kids, kind of like you know, kind of played the role as like my friend's brother did. Like when I was a fifth grader getting ready to go on to middle school, I was very much like pushing um I was very much like pushing that like hero-esque I don't even know what you would call it, like a hero. I would be pushing like that hero story type thing, right? Where like I would step in to save the day and I would fight off bullies for these kids and this and that and the other because I was like, w- why let them go through what I went through, right? And so it was kind of crazy, like looking back on it years later. So we're kind of gonna fast forward now. So to end off high school there, I mean there was a like maybe like one or two kids that like tried picking on me, and like both of them got knocked the fuck out, and then everybody else learned their lesson. So like high school is pretty peaceful, but I was also like very isolated too. Like I didn't go out of my way to interact with people. So we fast forward many years later, post college, and I find this movie. This is when I was first starting to get back into anime because I hadn't watched it since I was a kid. And this movie was called A Silent Voice. And I was watching this movie, and I knew nothing, absolutely nothing about this movie going into it. I was just like, I want to do something different because like I was a shonen head. Like I only watched like Dragon Ball Z. I watched Bleach. I watched like Death Note. I watched Hunter x Hunter. Like I was a shonen guy. Like that's all I watched, right? And eventually I was like, nah, I just want something different. I just want to branch out. And so I watched A Silent Voice, and I had no idea what the movie was about. And fuck, it's almost hard to talk about, man. It's like the way that this movie absolutely shattered my fucking reality. I can't understate enough, because the main character, it starts off with the main character bullying this deaf girl. And it was like all of that childhood trauma just came flooding to the front of my brain. I mean, it just freaking started. It just, the dam broke. Like, it just fucking started flooding. And I was going through so many emotions watching this movie. And there was the scene where she essentially wanted to off herself, and he goes to try and save her, and then he falls instead. And I remember watching that, and I at this point, like I wasn't even moving. Like I was so glued on the TV, it was like I was high. Like I was just idle watching the TV. And I just remember just tears, just fucking so many tears just streaming down my face. And it literally, it's because this character that was so well written went through the exact same arc that I did, but in the opposite order. Like he started off the villain, and he became the hero in the end. And I started off the hero and I became the villain. But, obviously like the story ends there in the movie, so like you don't get a continuation from it. So I'm sure like he would have continued to go on to be a hero, right? And for me, I also essentially became the hero once again. Well, not really. I became like the anti-hero, right? Like my reality is shifted in such a way that like I don't ignore like the dark side of reality, but I also like acknowledge the fact that there's a moral way that you need to conduct yourself, right? So, yeah, it's kind of nuts to see like how that came full circle. Like, I mean, this is one fucking crazy tangent. We need to get back to the video, but yeah, I fucking there's your story time for the video.
Okay, and now guess what? People are responding by canceling their Netflix subscriptions, and rightfully so.
True.
Okay, if you're going to give money
That's
over
the way
every
to do it.
single month to a corporation that is in no way promoting your values, and it especially is going out of their way to show different values to your children, and to call that programming safe for those children, you might want to cancel it. You might want to cut it out. Okay, so here.
To be fair, I don't pay for Netflix anyway. It's included in my phone plan, so it's just kind of like an extra perk thing. So it's like I Well, I have it, I guess. I'm gonna be honest. I don't think if The Witcher was still good past season 1, I would probably still be using it fairly often. Oh no, I did use it for Cyberpunk Edge Runners. That's right. I used it for that. That was the last thing I used it for. Yes. Yes.
Here is some screenshots of just people who are canceling. Elon Musk has sort of picked up this whole story and has been sharing it on X, saying, yes, go ahead and cancel your Netflix subscriptions. And that has really added some fuel to the fire that's been starting here. Now, there are some reports saying that Netflix has lost over $15 billion in market value, and their stock is dropping over the last few days as this story sort of continues to.
Where's Netflix's stock at right now? Netflix stock price over the past month. Okay, so their stock price did take a bit of a hit. They took a pretty nasty fucking dip here. Yeah, so from oof. Yeah, they were fucking popping off there for a minute and then they just really fucked it up, huh? Like that's fucking crazy. Jesus. Let's look at the 1 month here. Yeah, so the third, it fucking so their last quote unquote like peak was September 17th. And then they had a low and then they hit another high where it kind of leveled off for a little bit. And then it fucking took a big dip and then it kind of leveled and went up a little and then it took a massive dip. So this is probably where all this information came out. And now it seems to be recorrecting a bit. I'm assuming there's probably just, a bunch of woke pushback there that's like helping them bring their stock back up. But yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy.
Grow and change, and we find more examples of what's happening with their programming. And I'm not at all surprised. I don't know if we're going to make a big enough dent in this corporation for them to actually do anything.
No. After looking at that chart, pretty much no.
About this and for them to start changing their programs, it does feel like they are completely overrun by ideologues, and we've seen that sort of shown in so many of the examples in today's videos. We've also seen it with Dave Chappelle and his own.
So one blessing that I continue to take absolute advantage of. So one thing about growing up in Iowa is that we are a very like central like political hub. And one of the things that you are taught pretty much almost guaranteed as long as you have a good government teacher is propaganda. They don't pick sides, they don't choose left or right. They simply tell you that they're both lying basically. They basically just say like it's all bullshit. Don't take any of it. Literally do the research, literally look after it. I mean, that's what my teacher taught me and everybody who was in my class. Right? We were taught to not take anything at face value. It is always basically a white lie, a half truth, a way to convince you to perceive something a certain way, right? And I think that's helped out a lot because I also have like I had a friend that I talked to recently from Texas. And like they said in their school like they wish they had that because of, like what they're taught in Texas, I guess, is that like it's like super like pro Texas. Like it's like it's so heavily skewed in one way of thinking that they're just like, whoa, like you're taught like that where you're from, and I'm like, yeah, like that's like one of the major things that we're taught. And the funny thing is, I think it's kind of funny that like Iowa is a very like important political hub, and it's like basically the first stop for any political campaign when we're talking like high level stuff here. Um, I would say that people in Iowa care probably the least when it comes to politics. Like they'll have their side that they probably choose for one reason or the other, right? But it's never like so deep that it's gonna cause like a mass like Chicago level crash out, right? Or a LA level crash out. Like it's not that serious because like I think there's enough of a checks and balances between the rural parts of Iowa where you get like your down to earth grounding, your humbleness from, and then you also have like the city side of Iowa, which is like the kind of more business oriented, the kind of white collar oriented side of things. You got your college kids, your university ideology thinkers, right? So there's a good enough balance between the two because like also there's like very little to do in Iowa aside from Adventureland, strip clubs, and uh bar hopping. That's basically it. Like that's it. That's all you got. Oh, and the state fair. Like that's it. There's nothing crazy going on in Iowa. So like to do recreational things, it's usually something outdoors based. When you're doing outdoors based stuff, you tend to get humbled quite a lot because you're now having to rely on your survival instincts and not so much on your city whims, right? Uh, because of that, and a lot of people grow up in like families that go camping and this and that and the other. So you do get humbled a bit when you're an Iowa kid. And that's kind of the Midwest in general for the most part. I think that's why the Midwest swings so far red for the most part. And that's not to say that they don't swing blue because they do swing blue, but I think predominantly it's definitely more red oriented because of the way that we live up here. And even the seasons humble you here. Like this isn't fucking Florida. Like it's not nice all the fucking time. Like this is fucking you got Canadian winters, right? You have Canadian winters, you have Arizona desert freaking level heat in the summer. You basically have like a week or two of spring and then you're either in a another winter or you're straight into summer. The fall basically feels like winter except there's no snow. So it's yeah, I don't know. It's a pretty humbling part of the world to live in.
Netflix special coming out and the literal employees at Netflix attacking him for what was featured in his very own special. So the layers of wokeness and infiltration in Netflix as a company goes extremely deep. And if nothing that I've shown you today proves that, here's a little chart. Now this is election contributions in the year 2024.
Oh boy. Blackstone, 7.1 million, eh? Hiya. Palantir, 100% blue. Jesus. Microsoft, yeah. It's also why Microsoft is literally falling apart right now, by the way. Um, I have never seen Microsoft be so incompetent in my fucking life. And that's 78% of their staff that probably donated the 78% of this money is probably why, unfortunately.
by the employees of certain companies. And we're going to zoom in on Netflix. Now, mind you, these are supposed to be separated in bars, a blue bar and a red bar. Okay. The blue bar being Democrats, the red bar being Republicans. Now look at Netflix, 100% blue, 100% out of employee contributions, 100% Democrat to the tune of $4.4 million. So if you don't think they've succumbed to ideologues, I don't know what to tell you. The proof is in the pudding. The proof is in the election contributions. The proof is in the content that I've shown you today. The proof is in the diversity, equity, and inclusion initiative that they're pushing. The proof is in the response to Dave Chappelle. The proof is in going on Netflix and seeing categories for LGBTQ plus creators and Black creator this and Pride Month that, Black History Month that. The proof is everywhere and all around you. And we can only continue.
That's what happened to BET. BET fell off hard because their whole identity was based around Black entertainment television. And it's so sad that, because like, even I watched freaking BET. Like, I liked watching like the Medea movies and stuff like that. I thought those were fucking great. I thought they were hilarious, right? And you know, there's plenty of like movies on there that had like Black actors in them that they would play. That, you know, what the hell's that movie with fuck it. It's the fucking, it's the one movie that Denzel plays a villain. I can't bro, this is gonna bother me. I can't think of it. It's such a good movie. Oh no. Anyway, point is that if they would have kept their content curated for an overall audience and not just a Black audience, then that network would be way, way, way more established than it is. Like, they would probably be on like the Netflix level, like have their own app, right? And they would have their own share of things that you could watch, right? Um, but unfortunately, they decided to go the activist route and they push like a bunch of like anti-white content, anti-fucking any other race content aside from the Black race, right? And because of that, it isolated the network, and now you hardly hear anything about it aside from like random snippets in a video.
Continue to support these corporations so much because we love our streaming content and we love, for me, watching The Walking Dead right now.
Also, let me know what the fuck that movie is so I don't lose my goddamn mind, please.
So that sucks. But come on now. How many more they them references do we need in kids programming before we go, maybe we have a problem here and maybe Netflix is not the solution and maybe Netflix needs to get net fixed. And
dang, with the dad jokes.
today. Boggling to the mind, gas it to the flabber. That's really all I can say. Netflix has a huge problem on its hands. Cancel your subscriptions if you don't support this, and hopefully they feel it a bit, and maybe they start rethinking what they're gonna do with children's content. Maybe make your children's content because
True. Yeah, I wonder if I can remove that perk on my I mean, I don't even know why I would do it. To be honest, I probably won't do it just because it's annoying and I'm lazy. And I also don't have kids, so I ain't got to worry about that. So, yeah. Wow. Yep. Good video. I love these videos. I want to become more aware about a lot of this stuff going on in the world. Not that my voice even matters much, you know, so it goes. But no, she does great videos. So go give her a like, give her a sub, give her all that good stuff, share the video, all that stuff. And I will catch you guys on the next video.